Hello and welcome to episode 18 of IOnTheTigers, a podcast about the National Ice Hockey League, but one that always has an eye on the Telford Tigers. So, a couple of stories that we'll take a look at to begin this week before we then do the weekly roundup of results and previews for the upcoming fixtures. First is the first non-British trained player import has been released. So Owen Sobchuk has left the Bristol Pitbulls. Hasn't signed for another team at the time of recording, so recording Monday evening. So my luck would have it, no doubt it will end up being announced somewhere tomorrow morning on Tuesday ahead of this going live. It's a very short statement, not much in it. I've seen a bit of rumour on social media, won't get into that here because I don't know, so I'm not going to comment. But yeah, so down an import, and it remains to be seen whether he will sign for another team in the National Ice Hockey League or indeed another team perhaps even within the country. Also, the Swindon Wildcats situation. It does look pretty bad at the Link Centre. Sort of from what's seen when local news went in there, I think sort of as perhaps feared, as I said last week, that it's looking more like sort of months rather than just a couple of weeks or anything like that. Sort of the dates that start to see being put around are December, perhaps even January. It's quite a long time to be without a home, quite simply, for the Wildcats, so definitely some tough months coming up. I mean, the Wildcats 2, they've already pulled out of their league for the season, and obviously there's got to be a concern that the Wildcats could do that in the National Ice Hockey League. I hope they won't. I'm sure that they'll be able to get to play the games, but certainly might end up with a bit of a fixture backlog come the back end of the season, but all the best for them. So, results from the third week. So, as always, we'll kick off with how the Tigers did. So, on Saturday, it was a trip down to Peterborough. Predicted 2 points here for the Tigers. Far too optimistic. It seems to be a bit of a bogey rink for us. Phantoms ran out 3-1 winners. I'm sure one day we're going to be able to win down there. It feels though we just can't at the moment. So yeah, Phantoms took a 3-1 win on home ice. In terms of the other games, Raiders hosted the Wildcats. Close game this one, 6-5 to the Raiders in the end. So that's what they'll have as a good win, I would have thought. Although obviously the Wildcats have got problems at the moment in the sense of they've got no ice to sort of regularly practice on, certainly not in Swindon. Sharks hosted the Bees. It was an away win, so Bees won 4-1 up in Solway. So Solway's wait for a win continues. Then we'll take a look at Lightning. So the Lightning hosted the Knights. And Lightning won. Lightning won on home ice as I predicted last week. So pleased with that prediction. It was a 5-3 win for Milton Keynes in Milton Keynes. One that I didn't predict and would definitely go down as I think Saturday's shock result was Bristol beating Sheffield. So some might have predicted it, but I don't know if they'd necessarily predicted by sort of a relatively clear margin. So Pitbulls 5, Steel Dogs 2. Big win there for the Pitbulls and definitely not one that I predicted. Moving on to Sunday. So Solway travelled down to Telford. Solway travelled down in search of their first victory, and they left in search of their first victory still. So it's a 5-2 win for the Tigers on home ice, greatly aided by a hat-trick from Vladimir Luka. So great stuff to see there. Other games yesterday, so the Steel Dogs hosted the Pitbulls. There was a very quick chance for revenge there for Sheffield, and they managed it, albeit it took overtime. Very close game, 2-1. So 2-1 win in overtime there for the Steel Dogs. The Raiders had a second home game this weekend. This time they hosted the Phantoms. And the Phantoms got another 3-1 win. Looks like their season's perhaps up and running now. A little bit of a slow start, a couple of early losses, but kicking in and grinding out some wins now. Seahawks played host to the Bees. It was the only game of the weekend for the Seahawks. A lot of travelling for the Bees. But even so, a 7-0 victory for the Seahawks, particularly considering how well the Bees have started the season, has got to go down as a big surprise. And then final game of the weekend, Knights Leeds Knights hosted Milton Keynes Lightning. Saturday night had seen a 5-3 win for the home team, the Lightning. It was another home team win on the Sunday night. This was a bit more comprehensive though. Leeds Knights 9, Milton Keynes Lightning 1. Now we all know that Leeds got a good team. They can turn anybody over. But the Lightning really should be up there competing come the business end of the season. I know there's a lot still to be played, but that's a massive loss against a team that's no doubt going to be sort of what you'd expect to be sort of one of your rivals for the title, really. So that was National Ice Hockey League results. Also, as this podcast always has an eye on the Telford Tigers, Tigers 2 were in action. So on Saturday night they hosted Coventry, and it was a big 8-2 win on home ice. Sunday night it was a trip to Nottingham. A bit closer this game. It required overtime to separate the teams, but the Tigers 2 returned home with a 4-3 win. So a 4-point weekend for the Tigers too. Congratulations to them. This coming week, we kick off, or face off, I guess, on the Friday evening with the Raiders hosting the Bees. An interesting one, this one. I'm going to go for the Bees to win in overtime. They're going to bounce back from that loss up at Hull, and they're going to take this one in overtime. Saturday's fixtures. So the Tigers make the trip up to Sheffield to take on the Steel Dogs. It's going to be a close one that the Steel Dogs are going to take in overtime. Hull Seahawks are going to host the Phantoms. I think the Seahawks are going to win that one, perhaps by a couple of goals. Sharks host the Raiders. The Raiders have got to travel, but I'm going to go for them to beat Solway. Knights are hosting the Wildcats. Leeds Knights are going to win that one, and I kind of fear that might be a comfortable victory for them. And then Milton Keynes Lightning are hosting the Pitbulls. Milton Keynes to win that one. Sunday fixtures. Tigers host the Seahawks. I'm going to go for the Tigers to win in overtime. It's going to be close, though, definitely. Phantoms host the Wildcats. Win for the Phantoms, I'm afraid. Sorry, Wildcats fans. Bees host the Sharks. I kind of can only see the Bees winning that one, to be completely honest. Leeds Knights are going to host the Sheffield Steel Dogs. Leeds Knights to win that one. And then return from the Saturday evening, so the Bristol Pitbulls are going to host the Milton Keynes Lightning. Milton Keynes Lightning to win that one. So, as always, please feel free, leave me a comment what you think about my predictions. If they're right, it'd be great to hear. And if you disagree, please let me know, and let me know what you think will happen. Look forward to seeing the comments. See you again next week. Bye.